When one is not doing, one is feeling the world. On the path of knowledge, every seeker needs personal power. Without it, one cannot access the secrets of magic. So the question is, how can we accumulate personal power and finally perceive that the world is a magical, mysterious, and beautiful place? The answer lies in the practice of not doing. The magic of not doing lies in its paradox. Though abstract, it transforms both life and identity. May three suns shine upon you and stay through this message to discover, through clear and practical examples, how to begin practicing magical not doing today. You need to believe that personal power can be used and that it is possible to store it. The popularity of not doing among Western seekers grew from the magical knowledge revealed in the 20th century by Carlos Castaneda. In his writings, he describes himself as initially having only minimal amount of personal power, barely enough to perceive magic or to see that the world is an astonishing and enchanted place. Through the practice of not doing, Castaneda was able to accumulate personal power and begin perceiving the world directly, not as a collection of objects, but as a flow of forces and energies. So, what is the secret of not doing? How can it be used to accumulate personal power and begin transforming one's life and self? Not doing opens a connection to the realm of mystery and magic without requiring one to destroy the foundations of everyday life. A law among the people of knowledge says, power will find a way to enter your life gently and gradually transform it, enhancing your personal power and available energy. You will not need to force anything. Power will do the work. Without personal power, a person remains blind to magic and unable to begin authentic inner transformation. A small reserve of personal power leaves one vulnerable to external influences and to the foreign awareness that Castaneda calls the predators. Although abstract, not doing is grounded in reason and is entirely practical. Its methods are clear and effective and can be learned even with a minimal amount of personal power. Let us begin. Power has the peculiarity of being unnoticeable when it is being stored. The magical practice of not doing is rooted in the ancient understanding, accepted by the people of knowledge, that every human being is a threefold structure composed of body, soul, and spirit. The reserve of personal power depends directly on the harmonious interaction of these three parts. Therefore, the practice of not doing must be carried out on the level of the body, the soul, and the spirit, allowing the practitioner to regain wholeness and harmony within their threefold nature. Another law of the people of knowledge states that there are three forces capable of transforming not only personal life, but also material reality itself. These three are power, idea, and faith. The correspondence between these three forces and the threefold nature of the human being is clear. Power relates to the body, idea to the soul, and faith to the spirit. In our exploration of the practice of not doing, we will be guided by this sacred alignment. Body is the path of power. Through actions performed by the body with the help of power, not doing on the bodily level is achieved. The first step is to plug all one's points of drainage. With these words, Don Juan urged Castaneda to reconsider his approach to accumulating personal power. He revealed to Carlos that in the early stages of working with power, what matters is not what a person does to themselves, but what they stop doing. The meaning is this: we fail to progress not because we don't do what is necessary, but because we continue doing things that are unnecessary and harmful to our progress. So, where's the magical trick hidden? A solid foundation for accumulating personal power is a strategic inventory of one's actions, where each person eliminates from their life all that robs them of peace, inspiration, and clarity. The power once spent on maintaining those draining habits is then redirected toward what truly matters. For example, once you stop consuming unhealthy food, stop depriving yourself of sleep, and stop neglecting physical movement and exercise, you'll begin to feel a surge of power. To stop doing what is harmful to the body that is bodily not doing. The second step is to engage in an opposite doing. Take up a new activity, something that breaks your habitual pattern. Let this new action draw you in. Then, after you've learned it, realize neither the old nor the new doing defines you. You are not your personality. All doings are illusions. What matters is your connection to the higher self, whose time on earth is limited. For instance, if you are shy for the next 8 days, convince yourself that you are the opposite of what you believe yourself to be, while understanding that you are not truly that either. What matters here is to begin taking specific actions with your body. Learn a new manner of speech appropriate to confident people. Learn to dress, walk, and move like them, and so on. All of this is part of the new doing. Let the force of this doing carry you. At the end of the 8th day, devalue the experience and the new doing you have acquired. In this way, you will understand that in this world, there is no doing worth clinging to. Out of millions of paths, the only true path is the one that leads to the spirit and its power. It is the path that has a heart. Friends, to help you practice not doing, we have prepared a magical journal. It will support your deep changes and direct you to the path that has a heart. It is very easy to get the magical journal. Follow the link in the description of the video. A warrior always tries to affect the force of doing by changing it into not doing. Soul is the path of idea. Working with ideas engages your soul. The first step is to stop being led by your attachment to routines and programs. You must accept the idea that we act and react according to programs that have been implanted in us from the outside or developed by ourselves. But the world is greater than these programs. It is vast, magical, and mysterious. This means that in any given situation, there are countless ways to respond. Fixation on routines and programs is the imprisonment of the force. The diversity of the world, on the other hand, is a testament to the fact that force and energy are always in motion. For example, you may say to yourself, I go to work, I follow a routine. Should I stop working and abandon this program? Abandoning routines does not imply rejecting common sense, nor does it mean abandoning the debts and responsibilities you have taken on. Doing so would lead to the collapse of the foundations of your life, which you have built with immense force. Letting go of routines and programs means recognizing that you are not just an executor, but a creator, whose force is capable of transforming any routine or program. Engage in learning and use the knowledge you gain to strive to improve your life and the lives of those around you, at work, at home, and during rest. Doing is thinking only about yourself and your problems. Non-doing is seeing yourself in unity with others despite the limitations of personal routines and programs, and working diligently for the prosperity of all. The second step of non-doing on the level of the soul is to learn how to think and feel. You must accept the idea that the world is perceived through feelings. The intellect merely describes the results of this perception. Non-doing is the ability to feel the world rather than intellectually grasp its forms. Through feelings, we perceive the subtlest impulses of the higher self. Feelings are our deepest individual response to the world. They are connected to thoughts. To understand feelings, one must learn to think. To be able to think means to rely on this inner depth and go beyond the boundaries of the programmed patterns recorded in our consciousness. For example, there is an activity that allows one to learn both thinking and feeling. This is a hobby. A hobby is your intimate space, an environment where, stepping away from your usual doing, you are able to awaken and explore your feelings. The main condition is that the hobby must be based on a creative foundation, and it doesn't matter what the hobby is. What matters is that what you do evokes in you the desire to create, feelings of noble creation, and thoughts of lofty aspirations to express your talents. The ability to find time in your daily routine for pursuing a hobby is non-doing of the routine of ordinary life. The only thing that is real is the being in you that is going to die. To arrive at that being is the not doing of the self. Spirit is the path of faith. Faith will allow you to master non-doing on the level of connection with the Spirit. The first step is to free yourself from being convinced of anything. Conviction is an intellectual trait, a logical satisfaction that things must go a certain way. Conviction is a superficial contact with the world. Letting go of conviction does not mean abandoning common sense, but it marks the beginning of a search for the deeper causes behind what you perceive and the ability to see any question from multiple perspectives. You begin to see the world rather than merely look at it. For example, you may be convinced that by giving alms, you are doing good. But here, it is necessary to understand why you are doing it, how you are doing it, and most importantly, how the person asking for alms ended up in that situation. Giving alms is commonly associated with kindness, but it is not always truly good. By giving money to someone in need, you may be supporting the doing they are engaged in. Almsgiving reinforces in the beggar the doing of seeing themselves as weak and helpless, unless they themselves seek to encounter the force. In such a case, the best help may be the non-doing of giving alms. Personal power can only be directed toward helping another accumulate their own personal power. Letting go of conviction is non-doing of the system of personal values. The second step of non-doing on the level of connection with the Spirit is to believe that you have personal power, that it can be accumulated and used. This step can be taken by someone filled with faith that the true essence is not their personal history or passport data, but their higher self, which through the activity of a harmoniously developed personality comes to know itself and the unified law of the universe within limited conditions. Believing in the existence of personal power means recognizing this truth and knowing that the source of your power is the higher self. It means that at any moment, in any place, and under any circumstances, you have the power to change your perception of the world and to transform your personality. Here is an example. You want to start exercising to improve your health and become happier, but you feel too tired or lazy to do it. Yet, you still have the energy to watch series or listen to podcasts. Let go of what doesn't lead you toward physical well-being and begin to do physical exercises regularly, even in small amounts. In this way, the new doing will carry you forward and your freed up personal power will support you. There is no need to doubt, just begin to believe and act. Believing that you have personal power is non-doing of the attitude towards your own limitations. The third step of non-doing in connecting with the Spirit is to believe in your personal power. Don Juan told Castaneda that belief in one's personal power is the only thing a person truly has in this mysterious world. Belief in personal power is founded on trust in your higher self. Trust in the Spirit means being open to change and accepting the law of evolution. It is the belief that everything is unfolding for you in the best possible way in this moment and in the circumstances you are in. Belief in personal power brings impeccability and inner well-being into your life. Impeccability is the most rational use of the energy available to you in pursuit of your goal. Inner well-being is a state of serenity arising from the deep awareness of the unity between your goal and the law of evolution. For example, belief in personal power does not mean recklessness or irrational behavior, but a deep conviction that your efforts will lead to a natural outcome. You may want to learn a foreign language and believe you'll never be able to speak it fluently and correctly. Trust your higher self, believe in your personal power, and work at it steadily, sincerely, and wholeheartedly. You will not even notice how naturally you reach what you once dreamed of. Believing in your personal power is non-doing of personal transformation. The unique feature of the magical practice of non-doing is that despite its abstract nature, it is incredibly concrete, practical, and applicable in everyday life for anyone, regardless of their background or abilities. Non-doing is a practice of real change, grounded in your common sense, sincerity, and diligence. The choice is yours. Ask yourself, are you ready to make the effort for true transformation? The practice of non-doing will make you sensitive to the impulses of your higher self. This interaction is what sorcerers call seeing. Seeing will unfold your wings of perception, and you will soar upward. There among the stars, where there is no evil, you will realize that you have risen not to be above others, but to extend a strong hand of help to those who remain below, for whom the fire of your heart now shines as a starry light in the dark sky. This fire is meant to guide all who gaze upon it toward the freedom and greatness of the spirit.